All right. Cool. What do you guys think? What do you
I,
think about planning? Have you done this before?
yeah, Jenny, yes, I'm a total planner, so I've got that
Mm,
going for me. And it was the same exact thing when I always think about drinking. It's the same exact thing. I always had a plan. I knew what I was going to have
yeah.
initially, but I wanted to ask you with weight loss, since you've been very successful with it. Like berries, like
Mhm.
blueberries.
Awesome.
If you overdo it on blueberries, does that, because of course we've
Mm.
always thought, sugar's bad. Do you find that if you pig out on raw vegetables as opposed to blueberries, that's better for your body?
Mm. Okay, there's a lot in that. Blueberries and vegetables are great.
Okay, even though there's sugar in blueberries, there's also
Yes.
fiber, so it's highly nutritious. Okay.
It's is it giving a big glucose spike is the question. Is it giving us,
Um,
oh, and you can feel that, right? Or you
yeah,
a glucose monitor. But I find my clients can eat quite a bit of fruit before it becomes a problem. While we're doing weight loss, we don't tend to have fruit at dinner time. We don't tend to have fruit after dinner.
yeah,
We keep it at breakfast and at lunch, but we eat, yeah, 6 ounces of fruit in the morning and 6 ounces of fruit at lunch.
yeah,
So
makes sense.
the quantities matter. It's an interesting thing. So I found very specific quantities that predict results. And as soon as people veer off those quantities very much, we don't get the results. So
Got it.
it is possible to overeat fruit, but most people I find are not eating enough.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's harder because there's water in them too, like,
Mm-hmm.
versus like a fistful of candy
Yeah.
where it's so calorically dense that it's very easy, for me anyway,
Yes.
to overeat that.
Yes.
And and that is part of my plan, Terry, is that especially for breakfast, because I know that if I don't eat enough for breakfast, it sets me up for cravings and hostility, quite frankly.
Yes.
And so I'm bringing my oatmeal. I'm just going to be doing them in like the single um,
Yeah.
cups of unsweetened oatmeal, and I'm going to
Mhm.
add my flax seeds and a ton of berries, blueberries,
Yeah.
for the fiber and for the just to get full and to stabilize my blood sugar, particularly on Christmas morning when I'm
Yes.
going to be at a huge Southern breakfast
Yeah.
where bacon is considered a vegetable. So I'm just not eating that. And the other thing is, Terry, I totally resonate with you with what you're saying about the not drinking, because I have found that what has helped with the not drinking, because there's a social aspect that to that it's too, and I know, Jenny, I think you understand this, is why aren't you drinking? And
Yeah.
people try to center you. I don't think it's on
Yeah,
purpose or malicious, but they suddenly center you.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
again, rather than saying something like, it's really hard for me, I just say, I'm just not interested in it anymore. Um,
Yeah.
I've,
Yes.
I've lost my taste for alcohol. I've said that, and that cuts it right
Yay.
away. And I think it's going to be the same thing with the food. Because the other thing is, people haven't seen me
Yeah. Ooh, they're going to
since.
be impressed, right?
And so I've just kind of lost my taste for that.
Mhm.
It's just not what I like anymore. That's
Yeah.
harder for people to argue
Yes.
with. Do you agree, Jenny?
Yes, it's funny. I had one client, Michaelina, who used to tell people, "Oh, I'll have such terrible diarrhea if I eat or drink that." Like
Oh, well, that's like
that
a
was her
steel
way.
door slamming shut on that argument.
Okay. I preferred saying
Thank you
something
for that
positive.
forensic suggestion.
I know. I preferred saying, I'm just doing this healthy kick and it's
Mhm.
feeling really good and I've lost some weight and
Mhm.
are you answering the piece about, but it's a special occasion? Well, yeah, you don't even want it. So
Yeah, I just don't like it anymore. I
yeah,
I
like
used to
that.
like it. I don't. I've noticed my taste buds, because it's also true. My
Yes,
my taste buds have changed.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
and the things that I used to like, I just don't. I just don't want them anymore.
yeah,
And
isn't that
so,
good?
and I know that if I start eating it again, I will want them more.
Yes, you will. Yes, yeah, it's true.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's just the side effects aren't worth it. I mean, that's what I usually say. Like, I'm just over drinking. I'm over it. And I'm not, the side effects it's just not worth it anymore. I'd rather stay hydrated as I age, you know? And
Yeah,
the same thing with food. It's kind of like, it just, it doesn't agree with me anymore.
yes.
I'm not
That
at that
Mhm.
point yet, but trust me, I'm not there. I've got a long way to go, but I
yeah,
can imagine saying something like that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
simple and then change the subject.
Yeah.
Jenny, do you find that the food environment is different where you are in Mexico? Is there fewer of the processed foods, or or is it very similar? I was just curious.
Yeah, so different countries have different processed foods as their staples, right? So
Yeah.
here it's tortillas, having tortillas
Hmm.
or bread with every meal. No, it's a lot of processed food. So like the
The white
closest,
rice too, I imagine.
yeah, sometimes, not a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of processed food, and they got very addicted to Coca-Cola, and the government had to step in and do something about that because the diabetes rates went through the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sweetened things, they want sweet in everything. Almost everywhere in the world now, they want sweetened things.
Hmm.
So addictive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you guys gone with a plan? Yeah. You've gone with a plan about what you're going to say. You've gone with a plan about what you're going to do for breakfast. Oh, I was just going
Limiting
to
my
say about your
time.
breakfast, Matthew.
Mm.
To me, it sounds like it's missing protein.
Well, um, usually what happens is there's some flax, there's some protein in the flax.
Yep.
Um, and within an hour or so, I start eating my beans,
Oh,
which I
okay.
love very, very much.
Okay.
Um, and or my edamame.
All right. So
Um,
you've got protein, and if you keep it within about an hour of the previous, then you're not probably extra spiking your blood sugar.
mhm.
Mm.
Sometimes I add
Yeah,
a little bit of
I,
peanut butter to the oatmeal and
I do
have it
that.
that way,
Mhm.
or nuts or something like that. It has been hard. I did go to the doctor and I mean, my cholesterol is now 140. I mean,
Mm.
total. I mean, they're thrilled. But she
Yeah.
did say that with the vegetarian,
Mm.
um, to think more about protein, that she said 100 grams. That seems
Ah, Jenny, that's what I just
insane.
asked you about. That's what they told me. That's what they've always told me. Everybody's telling me that.
So it's interesting. I don't know what the answer is on protein. I know that what we're doing works, and we tend to believe we're eating too much protein. It's very promoted by doctors and by nutritionists, et cetera. I believe that's because the meat and dairy industry are so influential. But I could be wrong. I just know that what we're doing, it's more like 2/3 of the protein we used to eat. Instead of our plate being centered on protein, it's centered on vegetables and fruits. And there's protein at every meal, but we don't think of it as the be all and end all nutrient. I think that's a mistaken view that it is influenced by industry.
I agree because
Yeah,
when I said, "Well, I eat fish every once in a while," it was almost like a sigh. She had a sigh. Oh, okay. Well, and I'm like, "Well, wait. I
yeah.
mean, yes, I do,
The grip.
but I don't think that that it means. I mean, if there was an implicit assumption that animal was needed for protein, and I just reject
Yeah.
that."
Yeah, I tend to as well. The book that I like that references this, since both of you guys are talking about protein, is Fiber Fueled.
Mm,
He believes that 97% of us are fiber deficient, and almost none of us are protein deficient. In fact, most of us are getting more protein than we should be getting. That doesn't mean you're not somebody who actually should be getting more protein. I don't know.
mhm.
I would talk with my doctor, but know that doctors don't tend to be experts in this. So if your doctor's saying you need to have 100 grams of protein, I would ask if he would give me a citation, a reference for, is there a study that shows that people who had 100 grams of protein versus people who had 70 grams of protein did much, much better?
Yeah, I mean, I asked, where did you get that number? Is this what you were trained in medical school?
Yeah.
And she kind of pursed her lips and said, no. I said, well, can you tell me where
Yeah,
basing this recommendation from?
yeah.
And she said, well, just from my lived experience. And I went,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm.
then it's not an evidence-based.
Right, yeah,
I'm skeptical of doctors when they step out of their lanes. And I
yeah,
think that people
they're not,
expect them to, and it's not fair to them.
right,
My friend just finished medical school and she confirmed. She went to
yeah,
one of the best medical schools in the country and she barely had 6 weeks of nutrition, and it was all stuff that she said she learned as an undergrad.
yeah. And it's all, and I believe it's all influenced by the food industry. Like I
Mhm.
believe the nutrition chairs, you know, the chairs in their department are funded by the food industry. It's tricky, right? Who are we supposed to trust? Who are we supposed to listen to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you.
Well,
And the evidence, like that's what I had to basically kind of did what you did, Dr. Jenny, is
yeah,
I started reaching out to my colleagues in nutrition
yeah,
and say, and the ones that I knew their grants weren't funded
uh-huh, oh,
by
good, yeah,
food industry. Dr.
right,
Barbara Rolls,
mm.
strongly recommend her volumetrics.
Oh,
Um, Look her up. She's great. She
okay,
taught me a lot
oh, good,
about food and society, and being full, filling up on vegetables
oh, good, yeah,
and lean proteins,
uh-huh,
adding vegetables, diluting food, just lowering the energy density. And
mm.
that helped me get into what I found was a really complicated literature, nutrition.
It is complicated, yeah. It's difficult. I mean, you've heard me say it, but taking an evidence-based practices approach to it, looking for fundamental principles that routinely add up to results, really helped me. I don't know how
Hmm.
other people are supposed to find answers. Like, here are 6,000 conflicting ideas.
Hmm.
Good luck with that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And when you look at it from this, are there a handful of principles that add up to results over and over for improving heart disease and diabetes and weight, etc.? There are.
Hmm.
They sound overly simple to people.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but they're true. Any other thoughts about planning for the holidays? Terry might be driving by now.
No, I'm parked again, so I'm good. I'm at my destination. Matthew,
Okay.
what was the name of that? The protein information? What was the name?
Volumetrics,
Thank you,
Dr. Barbara
volumetrics.
Rolls.
Okay,
Hmm.
it's okay. I'll look
She's
it up.
at Penn
Thank you.
State University. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Volumetrics.
And
No, this has been great, Jenny.
oh, good. All right, tomorrow, how do we plan as far as the chip niffles go? It's going to be your choice. You can eat whatever you want, just not without consequences.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.